Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for our dearly departed Premier League preview for round 28. Complete transparency, it's 4:28. I've just started filming. I wrote this way back this morning before the Chris Wilder news, which has now been rumbling all day with no confirmation came. I was going to film in the morning. I went straight on and did the Wilder video. Then I did my championship preview. So at time of recording, Chris Wilder has not yet gone from Sheffield United, although there is a press conference at 5 p.m, allegedly. Although the one at 1:30 p.m. didn't happen, did it? So there we go. And the one with the player this morning didn't happen. So that is why we are where we are in the day. And that is the information as I have it right now. Okay, that is important because this is the dearly departed and our 5 teams that I cover, the ones that went up from the Championship and stayed there in the Premier League since I've been covering football on my YouTube channel, are Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Leeds, West Brom and Fulham. So big rumblings at one of our clubs today. With that being said, there's still a load of games this weekend and there's one in just a few hours tonight. So we need to crack on whatever is going to happen with Mr. Wilder. First of all, we say thank you to Coyle, who is our fan sponsor for the dearly departed shows on the channel this season. Thank you so much to Jay. Dearly departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose us. Indeed, I absolutely could not. And here are the fixtures for round 28. So, tonight, Newcastle versus Aston Villa. 8 p.m. is our first dearly departed game. In fact, we're going to get the first 3 in a row. 12:30 on Saturdays, Leeds versus Chelsea. Then it's Palace versus West Brom in the 3 p.m. The solitary 3 p.m. as we only get now in the Premier League. Everton, Burnley at 5:30. We've got nothing on that one, but we do care very deeply about Fulham versus Manchester City in the 8 o'clock kickoff. On to Sunday. Southampton, Brighton may have quite big implications down the bottom there. So we'll keep an eye on that in terms of Brighton. And then our last game, Leicester City versus Sheffield United. And every indication we have is that Paul Heckingbottom will be in charge of that and not Chris Wilder. But I'll keep my powder dry until we get a confirmation here. Arsenal, Spurs, Manchester United, West Ham United, Wolves, Liverpool. So let's get into our 5 games. We will, as always, start with the highest ranked team, go down to the lowest ranked team. And we're going to try and make a prediction for each of the games. Here we go. Newcastle versus Aston Villa. Well, a big game for the dearly departed. Probably more so for Fulham and West Brom because Newcastle are the team in everybody's sights at the bottom there, the one that are trending downwards. So Newcastle, if they lose, that would mean Aston Villa doing a very big favour to those down at the bottom. If you have a look at the table, there's Newcastle on 27. Villa in a bit of a different stratosphere, 13 points ahead of the Magpies there in 9th position. Recent form, a little bit patchy for Villa. I've got 7 up there. Lost 1, drawn. Lost 1, lost, drawn. So they've beaten Leeds and they've beaten Arsenal. They've lost to West Ham, Leicester and Sheffield United indeed, although red card a mitigating factor. Not really, because it was for Sheffield United. Draws there against Wolves and Brighton. So not losing too many. Disappointing one, obviously, with the 11 against 10 and not beating Sheffield United. In terms of the teams, the elephant in the room is still Jack Grealish. If you look there from that lineup there, no Grealish, no Hauser and no Cash. Although I'm sure you've all seen on Twitter the pictures of Matt Cash training this week. So last time it was Martinez. We may get Cash in for El Mohammadi. Konza Ming's target. And then the slightly different system. We're assuming that Grealish is probably not going to be ready or maybe bench at best. So it may well be 4-3-3 again, which means Ross Barkley out of favour. Sanson, Louise and McGinn. Traore injury worry in that last game. He went out. Watkins and Trezeguet. Remember, there is El Ghazi as well, fits into that picture up the front. And Newcastle, well, just big issues for them, trending downwards, and they've got no strikers. Almiron, Saint Maximin and Wilson all out at once. Not good for Steve Bruce, of course, an ex-Aston Villa manager. We know what Newcastle will try and do. They'll try and keep it very tight. They play 3 holding midfielders in a game against West Brom, for goodness sake. And West Brom are below them in the table, let alone Aston Villa, who are above them in the table. So it should be a tight one. It may be a slow one, but I would suspect Villa may well come away with this with a victory. And that's not even with putting my dearly departed hat on. So let's go for an away win for Villa in this one. Get your predictions in the comments. Newcastle versus Aston Villa. Leeds versus Chelsea. And we built this earlier in the season. We had this as a watch along, didn't we? As the sort of classic rivalry that started with that cup final replay in the 1970s. Obviously, both clubs in sort of different modes now, as you'd imagine, some 50 years later. Chelsea trending upwards, actually, and I would suggest Leeds trending downwards at the moment. So they meet at a time that does seem advantageous for Chelsea, I would have to say. There is the league table. Chelsea up there in 4th, and you can see Leeds 4 defeats in the last 5. Let's just hone in on the Chelsea form. Look at that. 1-0 win at Spurs, 2-1 win at Sheffield United, beat Newcastle at home, draw with Southampton, draw with Manchester United, 1-0 win at Liverpool, and then beat Everton at home. So that's 5 wins and 2 draws in those last 7 games. And I don't remember them losing under Thomas Tuchel as well. So looking very, very nice. Purring along, Chelsea. Same can't be said for Leeds at the moment. I mean, the good thing about Leeds and the bad thing about Leeds is they never draw, do they? I saw Phil Hay tweeted something about the lack of draws, and is there a way that these defeats could be turned into draws? Maybe, so there were less defeats, but it's very all or nothing, and even those last 7 games paint that picture as well. So victories over Palace and Southampton, defeats against Everton, Arsenal, Wolves, Villa and West Ham. We did the West Ham game as a watch-along. It's a very, very frustrating game that Leeds, I thought, started really well and then just poor goals, set play, penalty, not good the way they went from being competitive in the game to going under. Better in the second half, and maybe if Pat Bamford has his shooting boots on, it's a closer game. But remember, the game state changes wildly when it goes 2-0 one team. Their approach and attitude changes wildly, as I just said it. Meslier in goal last time, Ailing, Llorente, Cooper, Dallas. Still no sign of Robin Koch, so I don't expect this to change. Phillips returned, which was good news. Costa and Rafinha, does Harrison come in? I don't know. Click and Roberts. Well, Rodrigo, I'm pretty sure he came off the bench in the last game. He was definitely around, wasn't he, with Bamford up top. So really the only change I foresee, if there is one, let me say 2, is possibly Harrison coming back in to start and Rodrigo coming in midfield. But I'm a little bit concerned about this one. I know the game is at Leeds. They've had troubles with the pitch there, haven't they? But I can actually see Leeds losing this one. And obviously they're very competitive against everyone. But just at this moment in time, logic is pushing me towards a Chelsea victory. Let's hope that this is going to be play the Joker game and logic will switch. And for our dearly departed, Leeds will get the win. But I'm afraid, Leeds fans, and I've been very enthusiastic and optimistic in my Leeds predictions this season, but I'm going to go for a Chelsea win in this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Leeds versus Chelsea. Fulham versus Manchester City. Speaking of enthusiasm, it's really building the enthusiasm around Fulham, isn't it? They're really trending upwards very nicely. As I've said many times, It feels like it's gone in stages, bombing out, first of all, the players that got them up, working into a new team, an entire new sort of back four, essentially. Lots of draws, and then all of a sudden, last 7-8 games, the wins have come. And I think there's been 3, certainly, in those last 7 or 8 games, hasn't there? And that has propelled Fulham, if we look at the table, to within a goal difference of Brighton and 1 point of Newcastle. So they've got themselves into the position, and then all of a sudden you get the hardest opponent you can possibly get, really. And it's Manchester City in fantastic form. What was it? 21 straight victories until they lost to Manchester United. And then, of course, they went straight ahead again and won 5-2 in the next game. So it's going to be very, very tricky. Still without Ruddock and Kearney, but I don't think Parker's interested to use them. So Areola, Tete, Anderson, Adrabio, Iain are across the back. You wouldn't imagine it changing. Lamina and Reed. I'm not sure on Anguissa whether he may be worth a start. The other Reed, Lookman, Madja, who's come straight in and played, and Cavaliero up top. And it's a difficult one to call Fulham getting anything, even though Fulham's improvement has been excellent and they've been tighter at the back. I mean, if we look at the goals against in recent games, look, 0-1, 0-0, 1-0, 0. They are not conceding many goals. They're playing well. They're trending upwards. All the things we would ask for, but they're playing Manchester City. And as the table tells us, Manchester City 14 points clear at the top, 6 more wins than anybody else in the division. Already 61 goals they've scored as well. So, as much as I've been enjoying the Fulham climb towards safety, I'm not seeing it this one. I've got to go for a Manchester City win in this game. Let me know if you can argue any different. We'll keep our fingers crossed and our dearly departed hats at the ready, but I've got to go for Man City. Get comments in. Fulham versus Manchester City. Crystal Palace versus West Brom. I think we might be in not for the faint-hearted category again. We did the watch-along for West Brom versus Newcastle. It was Allardyce versus Bruce. We've now got Allardyce versus Hodgson. It feels like these managers are all interchangeable, doesn't it? Like Bruce has managed Newcastle and Palace. Hodgson has managed West Brom and Palace. And Allardyce has managed West Brom and Palace and Newcastle. They've all been around and around the merry-go-round. And I think we're going to get a similarly tight game than we got last time. To their credit, West Brom did have a bash at this, but it wasn't exactly Brazil 1970 levels of players committed forward. And it's really starting to have the air of too little too late for West Brom. Despite, if you look at the last 5 games, there's that one defeat against Everton, which Big Sam did say he felt his team played well in. And there's points. Look, 3 draws and a win is 5 points in the last 5. That's what Allardyce is asking for. Points parity. It's just coming too late, isn't it? And they need a run of 3 wins in 4 or something of that nature. So they're on 18 points. They're still 8 points back off safety. In terms of the team, Johnston, Furlong, O'Shea, Bartley, Townsend last time. Maybe Ajayi comes back in. I'm surprised he hasn't been used. Gibbs is still out. And Yokuslu sitting in front of the back 4. That won't change. Pereira, Phillips, still no sign of Dean Garner in the thinking there. Maitland-Niles, Gallagher, Dianya. I think he's got his team. He's got his strategy. And I think he might be able to get something out of this game. So there's a vast part of me that thinks, I mean, looking at the table with Palace that far ahead, that Palace could approach the game, 16-point lead, look at that, could approach the game thinking, well, you know, we don't need to go out and win this. Maybe that plays in West Brom's favour. And Beans, I'm probably not going to be too optimistic on the next one. I've only forecast 1 win. Let's go all in on Big Sam and West Brom and see whether they can go and get a win there. Let's go for it. West Brom to beat Palace. A stoic game won by Big Sam against Hodgson. I'm trying to convince myself, but I'm going to make the prediction. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going for Palace to win. I'm going for West Brom to win in Palace versus West Brom. And finally, Leicester versus Sheffield United. As I said at the top of the show, I've been recording for 15 minutes now. It's likely that Paul Heckingbottom will be in charge in this one. It's 4:43. We're expecting a press conference very, very, very soon as it pertains to Chris Wilder and Sheffield United. What I do know, and what I always say, is that chaos does footballers no favours whatsoever. They want a nice, stable situation around them, and I think they're not going to get one this weekend, are they? Whether Wilder is there or not, indeed. Basham, Berger, Egan, O'Connell, Robinson, all out, so no defenders in the last game. And it was defeat against Southampton. And despite that good run, where they won 6-9 in all competitions, it's now 5 defeats in 6. Defeats to Southampton, Liverpool, but Fulham as well, West Ham, Chelsea. In particular there, look, Fulham and Southampton, they're teams that are closer, let's just say. Obviously, everyone's above Sheffield United in the table. And it's just not worked out. Has it? As I say, I expect the team to be vaguely similar. I'm not sure on the whereabouts of Basham and Egan. We know O'Connell's still a way off. They would hope they could get at least one of those centre-backs in. And it's just tricky to call anything optimistic with things as they are. Leicester, you can see, are third in the division. They have won 4 in the last 7, only lost one of them. That was to Arsenal. So recent wins against Brighton, against Villa, Liverpool and Fulham. Leicester, in short, have dispatched many teams higher and more frequently than Sheffield United this season. So I am afraid I'm going to go for a Leicester home win. Leicester to beat Sheffield United. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's our show. Thank you again to Jay Coyle, who is our fan sponsor, dearly departed, also known as Ben. Couldn't bear to lose us. Sorry, we're kind of in betwixt and in between in stasis at the moment, not knowing what's happening with Chris Wilder. So we can only say on what we know, and with the game starting at 8 o'clock tonight, this is about as late as I can go with this. So I hope you've still enjoyed the show. Get your comments in, and plenty of dearly departed news and Chris Wilder reaction as and when confirmation occurs. Thank you everybody for watching. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button, and to be notified every time we upload, ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.